Hello, my name is Andrew Hall, but you may call me Dr. Kennard. This is the Disappointed Cat Morning Show, where we share some laughs, look at the news, and sometimes I forget to shut off the volume to my iPad over here. That's also running the show. Hope everyone's doing well today. What are we covering? What news stories are we covering today? I'm glad you asked. Fascist would-be Senator Rudy Giuliani. Two stories. So there's a would-be, he's a fascist and he wants to be senator. Rudy Giuliani in the news again. Nothing good. Missouri. Nothing good in Missouri either, by the way. What happens when a city defunds the police? Things happen. We're going to take a look at one city. Australia puts troops on the street. There's some military involved in enforcing COVID restrictions there. And what else? Another COVID story about home to home. There is a Florida pharmacy that is going door to door. Well, not door to door, but for people who are shut-ins, for people who need the COVID vaccine but can't get out of their house. So there's a pharmacy who's meeting their needs. Personal news too, but we should do something funny before we get into the Newsassity, everyone.
Nice.
It's Monday. A little bit of positive vibes. It isn't all dark clouds and thunder and lightning here. No, sometimes it's a happy goose. I think that's a goose. I think that was a goose. How's everyone doing today? Go and check out the chat. If you're watching on Facebook, you'll see that I'm interacting with the chat quite a bit. So you can always check out the Laughing and Disbelief YouTube channel and join us with the fun. So checking out the chat. A lot of people here this morning. Glad to see it. Tobin. Good morning, Scott Duke. John Hudson is with us. John Hudson did not look good the other day, but I guess he's on the mend, right, John? It's not COVID. That's what it is. That's important. Simply Secular Dave. What's up, Dave? Let's see. Remember Sammy Jenkins? Speaking of Australia. Bonnie Enid. Bonnie. All right. I think I got everyone. So, announcements. Do I have a friend that has a breakthrough infection of COVID? More than likely, yes. She gave me a call last night. She is my official BFF. I've known her for years, decades at this point. She was a writing partner of mine for a number of years. And we went to Shakespeare in the Commons last Saturday. I think it was last Saturday. And on Wednesday, she started feeling off. So she took one of those at-home COVID tests, and the test came out positive. She gave me a call up last night and gave me the news. And I said, wow, I think I should get a COVID test. So, and my girlfriend too. So the girlfriend was kind enough to go out and get the two test kits for our at-home. They're like $30, I believe, which, thank you, capitalism, right? The reason why I needed a test was because I work with people with impaired immune systems. One of the gentlemen I work with hasn't been vaccinated yet. So I had to make sure that I did not get a breakthrough infection, though the odds are exceptionally small. So I'm negative, don't have COVID. My girlfriend is negative too. She does not have COVID. Though that is very positive. You might ask me, so Andy, we know that you've been a baby when you've gotten the nasal swabs in the past. The first time I had a drive-through swab up my nose, my girlfriend literally had to push my head because I was fighting the swab, everyone. I was fighting the swab. This time, the girlfriend got to actually put the swab up my nose, and I had it was not my best moment ladies and gentlemen and small furry animals from Alpha Centauri. It was not my proudest moment. But yes, the test is negative. So, and my friend, minor symptoms, nothing crazy. Does not need to be hospitalized. She's calling up her doctor this morning, and she's probably going to get like another test, I would imagine, pretty soon. So that was my weekend. I was also on the Free Thought Prophet show. And if you know the Free Thought Prophet with Seamus is my drinking buddy here on the channel for Atheist Drinking Out Loud. So I was on Seamus's show with John Hamill, and we talked about Atheist Alliance International. If you have been following that drama, that a list of misdeeds by the Central Organizing Committee, however, the leadership of AAI, you should please check out Free Thought Prophet. They have a great podcast and a YouTube channel. And I made Seamus, I cracked a joke and I made him spit out his coffee. I think he was drinking rum, maybe gin. I don't know, some kind of, he did the Holzberg thing. So I feel like I accomplished something on that show. Man, just what's up, KCA Randy? Yeah, those nasal swabs. I think it was my fifth time getting a COVID test. It does not get easier. It does not get easier. So, all right, Cat the Humanist. Hey, glad to see that you're here. All right. Yes, KCA Randy, the very same place. Yes. You have that correct. Okay. This is interesting from Lee. I have not stopped wearing a mask during shopping and don't ever plan to stop wearing a mask. You haven't had a cold, cough, sniffles, or a year and a half, never stop wearing it. It's probably a good policy, to tell you the truth, if you don't want to get the flu, cold, or anything like that. All right, you want to do memes before we get into the super newsacity of the show? Let's do some memes, everyone. Check out, put some smiles on faces, right? This resonated with me right here. Enters password, incorrect password, incorrect password, incorrect password, resets password. New password cannot be your old password. Oh, I can't tell you. That happens at least once every couple of months. All right, for all of you geeks out there, nerds, if you're old school Trek fans, you'll get this. I think even if you're not an old school Trek fan, you'll still get this because this imagery is in the zeitgeist so much. Check it. Yeah, Kirk, Spock, and Bones all fully masked in the red shirt. Not so masked. And you're asking me, Andy Hall, Dr. Kennard, the show is the Disappointed Cat Morning Show, and we have not seen any cats yet this morning on this show. Rest assured, let there be cats. Downton Tabby. Downtown Downton. You see, I'm not a fan of the show, Tabby. So there you go. You have all these nice, 19th century kitties dressed up, being proper. Completely being proper. Man, nothing like British short-haired cats, right? Nothing like them. Good morning, Jess M. Grand Farmer, up early, I see. I saw James Doohan, who is Scotty. I saw him at a convention years ago. Don't remember much from his talk. Very nice gentleman. Had some interesting things to say, but I don't remember a lot of them. I just remember that, he's not Scottish. Of course he's not Scottish. That's just an accent that he uses. All right, shut up, Andy. Let's just do the news. You want to do the news? Christian fascism? Is that the first? Yeah, Christian fascism. Here we go. This is right from Hemet Meta, the friendly atheist. GOP Senate candidate pushes for a self-serving Judeo-Christian revolution. It's when they say the quiet parts out loud that they just feel that they can get away with it, right? And they can. That's the thing. He's in Ohio. Ohio is pretty much a red state right now. It used to be a bellwether state, no longer. Josh Mandel is the former Ohio lawmaker and state treasurer who's now running for the Republican nomination to the U.S. Senate from Ohio on a platform of just plain being a MAGA cultist. Earlier this month, he took a torch to the Constitution and tweeted, "The Bible and the Constitution are not supposed to be separate." And now in an interview with fellow cultist Jenna Ellis, Mandel says the problem with our country is that it's not Judeo-Christian enough. Yes, I have some film of this, everyone. I have a video of this, but let's just take a look at the screenshot from the tweet. Here he is from Right Wing Watch here. Ohio Republican Senate candidate Josh Mandel says the U.S. needs a Judeo-Christian revolution. That should put a chill down your spine. We should be instilling God in the classroom, instilling God in the workplace, and in all aspects of society. We all know what that means. Pretty much, it's horrible. It would be a horrible world. So let's take a look at the video of him spouting the crazy faith-based word salad. Here we go.
What do you mean by a Judeo-Christian revolution?
I mean taking it back to the founding of this country, this incredible country, United States of America, it was founded on Judeo-Christian values, not on radical Muslim values, not on atheism, but on Judeo-Christian values. And there's so many differentiating factors that differentiate that Judeo-Christian ethic from other belief sets. But one of the main differentiators is the acknowledgement of good versus evil and our willingness to fight for good over evil. And right now, Jenna, there's a lot of evil ongoing in the world, but also in this country, where the secular left is trying to take God out of everything. And my feeling is, instead of watering down on our Judeo-Christian values, we should be doubling down on our Judeo-Christian values. We should be instilling God in the classroom, instilling God in the workplace, and in all aspects of society.
Well, there you go. That's some crazy Judeo-Christian. You know what really pisses me off about all of this, besides the naked fascism, is the underlying stupidity. Let's see, Josh Mandel was born to a Jewish family. I've had many atheists on this channel who were once evangelicals, and one of the questions I like to ask them, are Catholics Christians? Are Catholics Christians? Because when I was growing up as a good Protestant, as a good Baptist, maybe they're Christians, maybe they're not. And let me tell you something. If evangelicals become the power in the country, you know who will discover that they're not Christians? Catholics. It might take some time, but there'll be a push. There would be a push, not just for any God to be in the classroom, to be in the workplace, to be in women's vaginas, because that's where they want God to be, right? Christianity to be. But Judeo-Christian is a myth. It is the Jewish part of that part of that word, Judeo-Christian. Yeah, that's just thinly veiled evangelical talk for we're taking over, or we want to take over, and we're going to con some of you less intelligent people into Judeo-Christian morals, because it just irks me, everyone. It just irks me to know. Of course, in the fascism, just the naked fascism of the state promoting actively Christianity, ramming it down our throats. Check out the chat. Wes, good morning. Glad to see that Wes is here. An imaginary God, too. I bet he never read a history book, Scott Duke. Well, indeed. What the F was he saying? He says that basically he wants to. This is Josh Mandel in Ohio. He's looking to run for, or he's running for U.S. Senator So this is just a crappy state senate position. He is looking to be one of the 2 senators from Ohio. And he's saying, Christian fascism, we need more of it. We need more Judeo-Christian morals, because that's what the country is founded on. And we need it. We need it. We need Jesus. We need God in our schools, in our workplaces, in all the nether regions too. All right, he didn't say nether regions, but that's the intent. All right. Am I caught up to the chat? Dee Parks, look who's here. It's Dee Parks. What's up? Yes, it's a good morning so far, Wes. It's a good morning so far, I have to tell you. All right. Next, what else are we doing? What's the next story? We can talk about COVID. We can talk about Australia. Actually, let's do something positive, right? Let's do something positive. And is this positive story coming out of Florida? How is that possible? How is that possible? But it is. We have a positive, a nice story coming out of Florida, everyone. And let's check that out. Got a video to share with you. Let's see, what do we have? And the name of the video is Florida Pharmacy Makes COVID-19 Vaccine House Calls. And this is from Reuters, as you can tell. And let's check it out. Making sure it's all set. Oh, look at that. It's wonderful. Let's go.
Have you had COVID before? No, God, no. That's why you think I've been staying in this house for the last 20 months.
Down to a wheelchair and unable to go out of the house after eye surgery, St. Petersburg, Florida resident Mark Sayer was eager to get the COVID-19 vaccine, but couldn't.
Okay, let's turn you this way. Yeah, okay, cool.
Now, a locally owned pharmacy based in Tampa is coming to his rescue. Pharmacy technician Lencia Garcia works for Delivered Pharmacy, which started a free home vaccine program open to anyone who qualifies for the vaccine. Garcia says he's been busy all week making house calls, and the phone has not stopped ringing.
And what vaccine are we doing for you today, sir? I guess it was the Pfizer. That's the most effective, right?
The city of Tampa has used Twitter to get the word out about the home vaccination program. Sayer heard about it on the local news.
This is terrific here, man. Almost got me choked up a little bit. Don't do that to me.
Like most of the country, the Delta variant has resulted in a spike in new COVID-19 cases across Florida, mainly due to the unvaccinated. Florida is a hot spot for the outbreak, with the state making up 20% of the nation's new infections, according to local media. At the same time, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis has rebuffed talk of shutdowns, mask mandates, or any kind of COVID restrictions. Garcia's schedule is filled up as he makes as many house calls as he can.
Going to patients out that are not available to get out and get their vaccine because of their conditions. So it makes me feel good about myself that I can get to those people the vaccine.
Demand is so strong, the pharmacy is now looking to add more drivers to help with the free service.
Sea cuisine.
See, so look at that. Something positive. A Florida story that isn't all terrible. I mean, yeah, they had to talk about Ron DeSantis, Governor Ron DeSantis being a COVID rat, being a plague rat. But besides that, I mean, it's a step in the right direction. And oh my fictitious God, people who have a disability, who are trapped in their homes because they're afraid to go out because they haven't been vaccinated, because they haven't been able to get to a site, and they're afraid of catching it from knuckleheads. Man. And if you're in Massachusetts, by the way, we also have a program like that. There's a number you can call and you can schedule an appointment. Someone will come to your house and give you the vaccine. So there you go, everyone, catching up. Yeah. All right, gotta check out the chat, see how things are going over here. B, glad to see that you're here, B. Glad to see that you're here. Ron DeSatan. I think that's an insult to Satan, James Henry. The Satanist in me makes this. I think that's an insult to Satan. So now here comes the Canadian. Here comes the Canadian. So Florida is now doing what Health Canada did the first weeks of COVID vaccine delivery, vaccinating the elderly and at risk who couldn't get to the vaccine clinic. Yeah, that's right. I know, Dave. I know. It's hard to be snarky about this, that they have one dude doing that one thing in the Tampere area. But you know, we at least it's positive. At least it's a step in the right direction. But it is easy to get frustrated by the lack of progress here in the States. All right. What are we doing here? What's the next story? What stories have we done so far? Oh, wow. We've done fascist senator, a guy who wants to be one of the two senators from Ohio who's solidly in the Christian fascist camp. Florida is trying to pull its stuff. Maybe, they're just going to people who are homebound and they're getting vaccinated. It's one person, it looks like, just doing a thing. There's a pharmacy. Yeah. It's not enough. It's not enough. But Ron DeSantis seems to be hell bent on derailing any progress in Florida. All right. What's the next story? Rudy Giuliani. You want to hear another feel-good story? All right. So this is Schadenfreude, everyone. And if you don't know what Schadenfreude is, it's taking joy in the pain of dickheads. At least for me, that's my personal definition of Schadenfreude. And in this case, let me cue up the story. Oh, yeah, it's this guy, right? So Rudy Giuliani is in so much trouble, he is invoking God's wrath on those who would prosecute him. Links are in the description below. Rudy Giuliani. If I go to jail, those who put me there will suffer the consequence in heaven. Bum, 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 bum. The last refuge of scoundrels, my friend, is God. And Rudy Giuliani is no different. He's saying to himself, oh my God, I'm in so much trouble. I have to invoke the Almighty. All right, let's check out the story. Rudy Giuliani tells NBC New York that he is more than willing to go to jail, but if he does, those who put him there will suffer the consequences in heaven. Heaven. All right, so there's no budget for any kind of effects here on this show, so I had to do my own echo. I apologize. Donald Trump's former attorney has been the subject of lengthy federal investigation into his dealings as an unregistered lobbyist for Ukraine before the 2020 presidential election, an investigation which he calls unlawful and politically motivated. In a new interview with NBC News 4's Melissa Russo, Giuliani maintains his innocence, saying, if you think he committed a crime, you're probably really stupid. I committed no crime, and if you think I committed a crime, you're probably really stupid because you don't know who I am, Giuliani said. Is the guy who put the mafia in jail, terrorists in New York, blah, blah, blah. You can tell when someone's lying. You can tell. There are a few tells, right? If the person's go-to response is, why would I lie? It makes no sense for me to lie. I'm not saying that person is definitely lying, but the chances that that person is lying, it's pretty high. It's pretty high. Let's go to the next panel. Federal investigators searched Giuliani's office in the Upper East Side apartment in April, seizing his electronic devices. In June, CNN released an audio of a 2019 phone conversation in which he relentlessly pressured and coaxed the Ukrainian government in 2019 to investigate baseless conspiracies about then-candidate Joe Biden. Although frustrated by the FBI probe, Giuliani said he's more than willing to go to jail. That's all talk. That's just all talk. He's afraid of going to jail. This man would not do well in any manifestation of jail, whether it's state jail, fed jail, county, holding pen. He would not do well at all. And somehow I don't think Jesus would help him either. The fictitious Jesus won't help him. All right, check out the chat before we go on. Republic traitors. What is it? It's Republic traitors. I like that, James Henry. I like that a lot. Republic traitors. All right. Well, that would be nice, James Henry. I hope Giuliani shares a cell with the New York mobsters he put away. That would be a little bit of justice pie, wouldn't it? Hey, Phil Lister. Glad to see that you're here. You off sailing somewhere in the Baltic today? I don't know where Lorwick is. I know you're usually in the Baltic, but all right. What are we doing next? Is this time for the halftime tummy rub show? If this is your first time here, we like to take a break from the news, do something funny, catch our breaths. So we like to call it the halftime tummy rub show. This is the time I ask people to like the video. Please like the video. If you get any value from what I'm doing here, if you learned something from the show, if you had a laugh, then please hit the like button. And you'll notice that there's no commercials here. I hate commercials. I hate watching them on other channels. So we are completely funded. We, as in me, this one-man operation, completely funded by YouTube members and by patrons. Thank you very much, patrons. Thank you very much, members. So if you want to donate a shekel, donate a couple of bucks, that's fine. If you cannot afford to give anything, then do not. I know that, but just don't. Save your pennies, right? The pandemic has still affected a lot of people in their work conditions. And so, yeah, I like no commercials, Wes. Effing hate commercials. Effing hate commercials. All right. Oh, Wes, if you only had funny cats on here. We occasionally have funny cats. We occasionally have funny cats. All right. But this video doesn't have cats in it, but it is somewhat heretical. So we'll check out this little funny.
Holy shit, are we dead?
Where are we?
Hello, my children.
Who are you?
Are you God?
God, no, I'm Carl.
Who the fuck is Carl?
Wait, so after you die, it's just Carl?
I don't make the rules, I'm just Carl.
Well, I guess that makes sense.
Did you guys bring any glow sticks for me?
Did we bring any glow sticks to our death?
Did you bring me my glow sticks?
No, we didn't bring glow
You're
sticks.
supposed to bring me 30 to 40 glow sticks. I unhinge my jaw, swallow them whole, and I let you into heaven.
And that memo was where?
I didn't see that listed in the Bible.
What is that?
You work in heaven, but you don't know what the Bible
Who
is?
hired you?
Carl, you're a bad hire.
Bible.
We're not even religious.
We've
but
heard of it.
Well, I haven't, okay? I'm into more underground shit. Have you even heard of Little Xan?
I get
God,
this a
you're
little
one of
bit.
those.
Okay, you guys are just wasting my time now. Just give me your lunch money and we'll call it even.
Our lunch money?
We just give you $5 and we're let in.
Yeah! Just give me $5 and I'll let you into heaven. I don't care. I'm just Carl.
Okay, we get
We
it.
know.
You're just Carl.
You've said this.
Are either you guys single?
I guess now.
I mean, I'm not alive, so I guess.
I wouldn't date Carl. I would not suggest anyone dating Carl. Carl is complicit. And what did Chris Hitchens call heaven? Some kind of North Korean gulag? Carl is someone who is complicit in the system, in the evil system. Oh, so Phil, you're planning to cruise down the British East Coast. Interesting. Well, I'm glad you enjoyed that, Wes. Glad you liked that. Yes. Carl. All right. We had such, it was qualified good news from Florida, right? You had, a person giving out vaccines to people who are homebound, people who can't go out to get vaccines. That was a nice story, right? That was pleasant. Then we had that little funny video, but now we go back into America, everyone. We're going to regress towards the mean. All right. So, okay. Here's the picture. And it's worth 1,000 words. That's what I've heard. Now, if you haven't looked at the description and the links or clicked on it, just guess. It doesn't take that much to guess what's going on here, right? I said it was in Missouri. We know Missouri is a super hot spot for Delta right now. You obviously have 2 nurses or 2 healthcare professionals alone. It looks like an RV. It's definitely not a food truck. Though some food trucks have really tasty treats in them. I'll say that. Here it is. Officials set up a mobile center at a Missouri fair to boost vaccinations. No one showed up. No one showed up. The healthcare professionals were just literally just look at her. She's just hands in pockets. That's all she's doing. Wondering where people are. They're not coming to see her or to get vaccinated. Officials at the St. Charles County Health Department in Missouri said they were disappointed after no one showed up to a mobile COVID-19 vaccination center offering vaccines to those attending a local annual fair this week. The St. Charles County Fair kicked off Tuesday at the Rotary Park in Wentzville, a St. Louis suburb. Attendees had the chance to get the Pfizer, BioNTech, or Johnson & Johnson vaccine on Tuesday and Friday between 4 and 7, according to county health officials. After spending 2 days at the fair, workers at the mobile vaccination site did not vaccinate a single person. A single person. People at the fair were probably eating, what is it, fried butter? All the horrible treats that you would think. I've never had fried butter. Microphone. I guess I'm talking to the microphone. I've never had fried butter. Deep fried butter. It does sound kind of good, but I wouldn't eat it. Not now. Maybe if I was 20, I would eat it, but definitely not now. I digress. Let's go back to the story. It's disappointing. That was my sigh. Nick Holberg of the St. Charles County Health Department told NBC affiliate KSDK of St. Louis. Kohlberg and other health officials hoped the annual fair would help boost in vaccinations amid the increase of COVID-19 cases driven by the highly contagious Delta variant. A total of 569,796 COVID-19 cases have been confirmed in Missouri as of Saturday. At least 13,193 of the positive cases were reported in the last 7 days. Only 41% of the state's population is fully vaccinated. If you're looking for herd immunity, that's not the place to get it. Less than a quarter of the population in several rural counties in Missouri are fully vaccinated, according to the state's health department, with 45% of the population fully vaccinated. St. Charles County, where the fair was hosted, is the county with the largest percentage of residents who have received both doses of the COVID-19 vaccine. However, the St. Charles County Health Department said 823 confirmed COVID-19 cases have been reported over the past 2 weeks, which is more than double the number of cases previously reported. All dressed up and no one to vaccinate. That's what that is. Checking out the chat. Phi. Well, there would be. You know, I saw in San Francisco that McDonald's, I saw this just before coming on the show. There is McDonald's in San Francisco that's giving away food, McDonald's food, unfortunately. But, I've eaten McDonald's food with vaccines. They would give you free food if you get your shot. That's a deal right there. J. Mike. I don't know who J. Mike is. But hello. I'll say hello. Hope you're doing well this morning. All right. Catching up with the chat. Catching up with chat. Oh, Wes says, I'm in Missouri and I confirm there is a lot of dumbasses. Not even sure if I can clear myself from the ignorance here. Yeah. J. Mike is awesome, Andy. All right, very good. Very good. Oh, he is an Atheist Experience co-host. Maybe I haven't, I listen to Atheist Experience on occasion. So welcome, J. Mike. Welcome. So what are we doing here? We've gone over so many stories. Would-be senator in Ohio wants a Judeo-Christian revolution. He wants Judeo-Christian values plunged, stab? I don't know. This Josh Mandel fellow, Republican, of course, who's running for senator in Ohio, he wants Judeo-Christian values in schools and work in the nether regions. In the nether regions? In the nether regions too. We covered that story. We talked about, what else did we talk about? Rudy Giuliani appealing to heaven, saying that if he goes to jail, people will have to answer to God. They will God for that. And of course, we just talked about the Missouri pop-up vaccination site. Open for 2 days at a county fair, and no one came to get vaccinated. Before we start talking about the city that defunded the police and how they're using their response team, right? Before we do that, let's talk about Australia, everyone. I'm going to share a video about how Australia is using the military to, enforce quarantine. The name of the video is Australia Cranks Up COVID-19 Curbs with Army Patrols. All right. Let's do this thing.
Army patrols hit the streets of Sydney on Monday to help enforce coronavirus curbs as Australia struggles to stop the Delta variant from spreading. Around 300 unarmed military personnel have been tasked with going door to door, checking that people who have tested positive are isolating at home. They're also accompanying police officers on the hunt for rule breakers, combing neighborhoods that have emerged as hotspots as the country's largest city enters its 6th week of lockdown. The state of New South Wales, home to Sydney, reported 207 new cases in the past 24 hours. That follows a 16-month high recorded late last week. Meanwhile, a lockdown in Australia's 3rd biggest city, Brisbane, has been extended. Due to end on Tuesday, it will now stay in place until the end of Sunday. Throughout the global health crisis, Australia has managed to keep its cases relatively low, but its vaccination drive has lagged many other developed countries. Prime Minister Scott Morrison has come under fire for his handling of the pandemic. He's promised that lockdowns will ease once the country vaccinates 70% of eligible citizens, which should happen, he said, by the end of the year. Only around 20% have been inoculated so far.
You can tell it's not the United States of America because the Army, the soldiers who are helping to manage the lockdown aren't bristling with guns. Let's see. All right, I think I'm caught up with the chat. One person, this is interesting. Scott Duke says one person with the Delta can affect up to 8 other people. Is that the official data, Scott Duke? All right, like I said, I have a friend of mine who got tested positive for COVID over the weekend. She's vaccinated. Scary stuff. She doesn't have any major symptoms. She isn't in the hospital or anything like that. But still, though very rare, breakthrough infections do occur, everyone. And I, of course, took another test and I'm negative. So is my girlfriend too. So, all right, let's do. What are we going to do? We're going to talk about defunding the police. And links in the description below, everyone. Links in the description. This is a long story. I'm going to try to do this justice. Official. Oh, damn it, Andy. That's the wrong one. This city defunded the police. Here's what happened next. In a city that was rocked by the killing of Daniel Prude during a mental health episode, Richard Hall rides along with a new team that hopes to reimagine policing. I'll say this, here in Somerville, Massachusetts, one of the most liberal cities in Massachusetts, there is stiff opposition from defunding the police. In other words, taking some money from the police budget to funding a rapid response team of social workers to help with mental health issues. the positive part, getting into local politics here, and this is why it's so important to vote in local politics. The people who were city councilors were solidly against defunding the police. A vast majority of the city councilors are leaving, as well as the mayor is leaving too. They're just doing other stuff. It just is a random event that it just happens that all these city officials are leaving, and this creates a space for us to elect more leftists. I had two people from the Democratic Socialist Party of America come to my doorstep talking about the party and talking about what they want to accomplish. And one of them is defunding the police. And that's just, so here it's very hopeful that we can get a couple of DSA people on the city council, that maybe we can do some defunding of the police here. First panel. Social workers Dre Johnson and Renee Breen are part of a pioneering new approach to policing in the city far north of New York State. That's Rochester, New York, by the way. They belong to Rochester's Person in Crisis team, a unit of mental health and behavioral professionals who attend police calls where a person may be suffering a mental health episode. In the aftermath of a nationwide protests over the police killing of George Floyd, activists across the country made calls to defund, reform, and reimagine policing. Here in Rochester, the city is doing just that. It has cut funding for police and diverted that money to the Person in Crisis team and other public safety measures. What are you trying to tell me, that militarizing the police and giving them like blank checks might be the cause of a problem here in the States? Maybe. Definitely. The reform effort here was sparked by a police killing strikingly similar to Mr. Floyd's, and much closer to home. The city was already in the midst of racial justice protests when the video of Daniel Prude's death emerged in September last year. It showed the 41-year-old black man being restrained by police in the street with a hood over his head. Let me just say that over again. It showed the 41-year-old black man being restrained by police in the street with a hood over his head until he became unconscious. He was naked, confused, and clearly suffering a mental health episode. He died in hospital days later. His death, which was later ruled a homicide, galvanized protesters and forced authorities to take action. In response, the city sought a new way of handling police calls involving mental health issue. The Person in Crisis team was born. Look, we've talked about this a million times before, about how the police here in the States, their main goal is not to de-escalate people. It is to I don't even know what the police's main goal is. It certainly isn't to serve and protect. Maybe it's shooting people in the back. Maybe it's kneeling on their necks. The premise behind the Person in Crisis team is simple. It contends that for all their training and skills, police are not equipped to deal with the complexities that a mental health crisis requires. By sending mental health professionals along to 911 calls that may involve potential psychological breakdowns, officials hope these situations can be dealt with more sensitively and more safely. Cops can't be trusted. Overall, there is a culture here in the States about policing. It's more about telling people what to do and forcing them to obey. Look, I've worked in mental health for years, for decades at this point, and we've had many conversations about this. When you're interacting with someone who's in crisis, it is best to use the least restrictive method possible to get them to calm down, to get them to manage the crisis. Handcuffs, getting yelled at, getting pushed, getting physically restrained. These are not the procedures you should be using right from the jump, right from the start. And you can de-escalate someone many times by just using some simple, basic techniques, right? It's possible. We've seen videos of this before. They're all around YouTube, of just being able to de-escalate a person who's in crisis so that they can get into services, as against to having a hood over their head and dying a few days later in jail. What is happening in Rochester? may have nationwide implications. The backlash to calls to fund the police have often been framed as a threat to public safety, but this city appears to be doing it in a way that improves it. In 2020, the city passed a budget that cut the police funding of $95 million by 4%. It also reallocated $130,000 set aside for police overtime to youth services. This year, it again cut police funding by some $4.5 million, with money being diverted to expanding the person in crisis team, which was officially launched in February after a pilot program. It's as if they saw the program working effectively and they decided to put more resources in it following the scientific process, right? Because aren't you supposed to test? You have the hypothesis, you test the hypothesis, and then you say, hey, this works. Let's replicate it. All right. So how does this work? How does the person crisis team work? So basically, some 911 calls get sent to the crisis team and alerts the two members of the crisis team. And then they will go to the person in crisis, and there are police who are there with them in case things do get physically violent. So Bean and Johnson, once they are alerted, once the crisis team is alerted, they will head to the scene. Once they arrive, they have to wait for the police before they approach. When they do, the team works in tandem with them. Johnson tries to arrange a ride home for a woman in distress in that particular situation, while Breen takes care of children who are playing in the street. They go between the police and the ambulance drivers before she is eventually taken to hospital. To the untrained eye, it looks less of a new way of policing and more of an addition to it. On this call, Johnson outlines how their mediator role came into play. The officer seemed to get agitated with her because she wasn't listening. I've seen many situations go awry because people were talking back, he says. And once again, cops, they have a tendency. They have someone talks back to them that they are being defiant. The thing is, when you're having a psychiatric crisis, when you're in crisis, your brain's not working properly. You can't process information properly. It's difficult to really understand what's going on around you. And police officers will not react positively in that. They will not act adaptively to it. And that's why it's important to have a crisis team there. If nothing else, and I'm sure someone is smart enough in the chat to notice this, the crisis team is there to manage the person in crisis as well as the motherfucking police at the same time too, right? The police are less likely to do shady shit when you have a two-person crisis team there. Tell me if I'm wrong on this, that these crisis teams, they're not only there to help the person in crisis, right, to manage their psychiatric crisis, but to manage the police officers there at the same time. And by my fictitious God, that's what we need in this country. Someone there at the situation to help manage the police, because they cannot fucking do it themselves. All right. Let's check out the chat. Reform the police. Well, and let's dive into what this system does, this rapid response team does, these mental health professionals. It is an acknowledgement on some level that the police, if not impossible to reform, it is very difficult to reform because of the police unions. So there's this add-on measure. It's as if saying that if we can't train the police to act properly, we will have social workers on the scene. Oh, yes. Yeah, Sam. Our police aren't nearly as bad as American police. And once again, the thing is, what we've also talked about a lot here on this channel is that every municipality has its own rules, more or less. So if you're in a town, they may approve chokeholds. If you're in the next town, they may not approve chokeholds unless the state government, like in Colorado, for example, forbids chokeholds. Then it's up to every little town and city to make up their own rules. Thank you. Thank you, Sam. Oh yeah, body cams. Yep, body cams help. You know, body cams help. We saw 2 cops arrested in Colorado because of body cam footage, right? All right, man, we covered so much in 50 minutes. How can it? 50 minutes just flew. Everyone, we covered covered soup to nuts here in the States, right? And a little bit of Australia too. We covered everything from COVID to Christian fascism to what does defunding the police look like. Let's do something funny.
You kidding me? Who said that you're allowed to be this freaking cute?
More cute than funny, but I'm happy with that. I'm content with that, everyone. I can deal with cute more than funny, right? Kind of gets me recentered, gets my blood pressure down a little bit, makes me a bit happier, puts almost a smile on my face. I don't know. So we do the after party after show, 10 to 11. If you want to join on the panel, it's basically an open room for atheists, progressives, humanists. If you want to join us from 10 to 11, then the link to go on the panel, to be on the panel, it's below. Thank you for showing up. Thank you for contributing to the chat. I learned stuff from the chat. My goal is to always be around people smarter than me so I can learn things. Keeps me in check too. And hit the like button. Dee Parks, indeed. Hit that like button. Thank you for reminding me. Grand Farmer. Yeah, I'm very few people would call me cute in any point whatsoever. All right. So once again, 10 o'clock, after party, after show. If you want to show up, that'd be great. If you want to be on the panel, that's fantastic. I'm going to be there. I'm going to show the thank you video for patrons and YouTube members. Thank you for your support. I appreciate it. See you 10.